Today I will discuss about ethics in clinical trials and good clinical practices, that is called GCP. Apart from this, later I will also discuss about gene patenting. So first, what is clinical trial? A clinical trial is a research study designed to test the effectiveness and side effect of any treatment or any drug on human subject. So clinical trial can be conducted when it is effective in vitro as well as in vivo, means in animal model. Once any drug or any candidate is effective, then only this drug candidate can be tested in human. That is called clinical trial. So there are four phases of clinical trial. Phase first, that tests the toxicity only. In phase 2, uh, efficacy and further toxicity also evaluated. In phase 3, confirmation of efficacy in large group, and in phase 4, fine tuning is tested, means it is tested in very large group, and finally after four phase of clinical trial, a drug or vaccine candidate come into the market. So why there is a need of clinical trials? It's because of limits of animal experimentation, and clinical trials are more reliable than other source of evidence. They isolate relevant variables. We can use more control groups in the case of clinical trial, and randomization and blindness is quite possible. Now, the historical perspective of ethics in clinical trial. Actually, there are some rules to execute the clinical trials. So that is called ethics of clinical trial. So first of all, in 1947, the Nuremberg Code was declared, and then in 1948, UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In 1964, Declaration of Helsinki, and in 1979, Blemont Report was uh, executed. In 1997, CIOMS introduced the International Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical Research. The CIOMS is the Council for International Organization of Medical Science. So there are three ethical principles or guide clinical research. These are, first one is respect for person. So the person who is involved or who is a volunteer in the clinical trial, we should respect that person. Second is beneficence. Issue potential conflict between good of society versus individual, and justice. Justice means the treatment of all fairly and all equally share benefits and risks. Now, first, Nuremberg Code. According to this code, for any clinical trial, voluntary consent of human subject is essential. So, without any voluntary consent, we cannot execute any clinical trial on a human subject. The anticipated result must have a basis in the biological knowledge and animal experimentation. So, as I already explained, that we cannot do clinical trial until any drug or vaccine candidate is effective in animal model. Third is the procedure should avoid unnecessary physical and mental suffering and injury of the patient. And fourth one, the degree of risk for patients should not exceed the humanitarian importance of the problem to be solved. So, human is above than any problem. So, it should also consider under this Nuremberg Code. The fifth one, the study must be conducted by qualified scientists or doctors with a high degree of skill and care throughout the experiment. So, any learner or new scientist cannot execute the clinical trial. So, the scientists and doctors should be very, very experienced. The investigator has an obligation to terminate the experiment if injury, disability, or death of any human subject seems likely. So, if there may be a case of injury or disability, so that clinical trial can be terminated at that point. Second is Declaration of Helsinki. According to this declaration, clinical research should be based on animal and laboratory experiments. So, as I already discussed, without laboratory experiment, we cannot do clinical trial. Clinical research should be conducted and supervised only by qualified medical workers. It's like the Nuremberg Code. Clinical research should be preceded by a careful assessment of risk and benefits to the patient. So, the risk factors should be evaluated very carefully, and then only it can be done on the patient. Human beings should be fully informed and must freely consent to the research. So that these are the some basic points of Declaration of Helsinki. Now, Blaimont report. According to this, there are three basic rules. First is principle of respect. So individuals should be treated as autonomous agent, and second that person with diminished autonomy are entitled to protection. Principle of beneficence. Persons are treated in an ethical manner not only by respecting their decision and protecting them from the harm. And third is principle of justice. Uh, An injustice occurs when some benefit to which a person is entitled is denied without good reason or when some burden is imposed unduly. So we should follow these three principles: respect, beneficence, and justice. Now, the Council for International Organization of Medical Research looks the following matter. It checks that whether the benefits and risks to the subject, if there are benefits, and then only the clinical trial can be continued. It also checks the vulnerable population, means if in clinical trial some population or group of people are vulnerable to particular drug or particular test vaccine, so it can be stopped immediately. Research in population with limited resources, strengthening capacity for ethical and scientific review, and equitable distribution of burdens and now essentiality, consent, and non-exploitation of human subject in clinical trial. So first off, essentiality. So the test on human being only if absolutely essential. Until and unless any drug candidate or vaccine candidate are not essential, it cannot be tested in the human being. And does all current research certify that the drug is safe? So, drug or vaccine in the clinical trials should be safe, then only it can be tested on human being. Second is informed consent. Subjects should consent to participate in the study. You cannot force people to participate in clinical trial experiments. So, subjects should be, we should take consent from the participants. And the subjects or the group of volunteers should be fully informed about the objective of the study. So, you should explain everything about that experiment and outcome of the or objective of the study. Subject have right to withdraw at any point during the study. So the person who are involved in the clinical trial or volunteers, they can withdraw their name at any point of study because it may harm them. So in this case, the person can withdraw his name for the clinical trial. But no refund of remuneration should be demanded on early withdrawal. And third is non-exploitation. Under this, the remuneration should be provided to the subject so they can get some money for the clinical trial. Inform subjects about all potential side effects and risk. So we should inform the people who are volunteers in clinical trial. We should inform them that potential side effect of that particular drug. Ensure ample compensation for accidental injury, and insurance, rehabilitation, and lifelong support are also essential. Now, privacy and confidentiality. So, subjects should, the information about the subject should be very, very private, or it cannot be disclosed until and unless it is essential. Avoid indirect exposure of identity, providing information which will allow identity to be guessed. And precautions. Design the study such that risk to subject is minimized. So we should design our experiment in that way the risk to the subject or volunteer is minimized, and we should also ensure there are no adverse or side effects on the human being. Now, competence, transparency, and accountability. So, first of all, professional competence. All personnel or all scientists or doctors who are involved in clinical trial, they should be trained and qualified. A strong sense of ethics essential for the personnel. So they should know about each and every rule of the ethical issues. Transparency and accountability. In this case, no aspect of the study should be hidden except for the privacy reasons, and the prior disclosure of all conflict of interest should be disclosed. Maintain permanent record of all research data and notes, and fix responsibility for the study and its outcome. So researchers, sponsors, and funding agencies and institutions where research is conducted, they should take responsibility for the study and its outcome. Finally, distributive justice. Benefit of research should be equally distributed. Means we cannot do research in a particular race or particular area. It should be benefited for all. Like if it is beneficial for Asian people, it should also benefit it for African people. Second, avoid implicit or avoid to pressurize the people. So you cannot pressurize people for the clinical trial, and particularly we cannot pressurize prisoners, students, our subordinates for the clinical trial. Now, ethical issue of clinical trial in special groups like pregnant women and children. So there are some special ethics for each group, like only for research to better the health of pregnant and nursing women, and we should ensure that there is no risk in fetus or infant. If we do some clinical trial in children, it should only for drug to improve child health. It should conduct only on children after phase 3 clinical trial. So any drug or vaccine candidate which is effective or effective in phase 2 or 3 clinical trial, then only for phase 4 clinical trial we should take children as. Now, ethics guideline in India. So far, I have discussed about the international ethics guideline for the clinical trial. So, similarly, in India, these are also implemented in Indian context. So, India has a strong ethical guideline for clinical research. Every clinical trial program should be reviewed by ethics committee. So, there are ethics committee in each institution. Initial review of proposed research proposal is carried out by the ethics committee. So, Indian medical research ethics guidelines are available in this website, and this is ICMR ethical guideline for the biomedical research. So, you can see this website to check the guideline of ICMR, and these days you can also see the guideline regarding the COVID-19 or corona infection. Now I will start a new topic, that is gene patenting. You may heard about this gene patenting. So what is gene patent? So a gene patent is a patent on specific isolated gene sequence or a natural gene sequence that has been altered by the scientists in the laboratory. So they can patent that altered gene for the beneficence of the people. First case of gene patent, it was reported in 1980 in USA, and actually this patent was filed by a American microbiologist Ananda Chakraborty, and he developed a bacteria that can degrade the oil spills. So Chakraborty patent was first denied, but later he appealed and arguing that the USPTO actually denied this patent earlier. So USPTO means United States Patent and Trademark Office, and he argued that this bacteria is actually not natural and it is man-made, and he developed this bacteria in his laboratory. So then he got the patent for this microorganism. Now the current patent law prohibits the patenting of law of nature of natural phenomena. Like you cannot patent for any fruit directly until and unless you are not uh, modifying its genetic constitution. So like similarly here you cannot uh, patent the Newton's law of motion, or you cannot patent Einstein's theory that E is equal to mc square. Later, the second case of gene patenting, it was quite controversial actually. Uh, so the a US biotech company, that is Merit Genetics, filed the patent for the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene, and these two genes are actually linked with the ovarian and breast cancer. So this Merit company actually used these two genes for the diagnosis of cancer, and he filed the patent for it. But in August 2012, uh, it was denied to uh, give patent for these two genes. But later in 2012, Merit biotech company won the US Federal Appeal Court, and it was given patent to this company. But on June 13, 2013, the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that genes are not eligible for patenting. The majority opinion was written by Justice Clarence Thomas, and he stated that merit did not create anything. So finally, the patent for these BRC2 and BRC1 gene was denied by the US court. Now, pros and cons of gene patentability. So here in this side, you can see the pros of gene patent. So here you can see isolated gene sequence are new, not part of nature. However, genes are part of nature, so should not be patented. Gene patent do not apply to natural genes. If you will see the cons, gene sequence can be discovered and mapped, but not invented. So here you can read the pros and cons of this gene patentability. Now, do gene patents help or harm research and development? So if you will see pros of this topic, the patent provide incentive for R&D investment. Little evidence exists that gene patent hurts research. Gene patents do not offer monopoly power of and power to the investors. Gene patents allow other to use and profit from invention. But sometimes gene patent can violate the freedom of thoughts. Now, do gene patents encourage biotechnological innovation? So, if you will see the benefit, gene patents actually are essential to future of biotech industry. Gene patents help drive major economic breakthrough. However, if you will see the tones of gene patenting, gene patents imagine R&D only done by the private companies. So this is the big drawback of gene patenting. Now the question is, can gene patents maintain public health and safety? So there are many concerns about this. So if you can see, gene patent can harm patient care and pricing. Gene patents impair rapid study of spreading disease. And gene patents and bioengineering mainly harm our environment and society. Now the future of gene patenting. Researchers should be free to use genes in their research and, without fear of infringement. More than 2000 human genes, including several genes which are associated with the cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and asthma, have been patented already. And the debate is not likely to end in the foreseeable future, and human life will continue to be benefactor and victim of both sides of this debate. As the courts debate the law and scope of gene patentability, society debates and morality of gene patents. So that's all about gene patenting and clinical trial ethics. Next time I will start a new topic about intellectual property right (IPR). Till then, please stay at home, stay safe. Thank you.